Now listen, we're your hosts, Misty and Kevin. We're here to talk Dusty Saddle Publishing and stuff.
It's author interviews, news, and what's happening out west in the publishing world.
Hey, y'all, welcome back. Today we are looking at something slightly different than usual, where we usually are looking at Western authors and Western stories and such like that people are inventing from their imagination. We're going to look a little bit today at people who are living out what people are imagining in their imagination. That's a combination of stories that people tell and also characters they create, very similar type things to what most of our writers go through. But wanted to please welcome in here Dennis and Debbie Hanon. They are professional, what shall we say, reenactors and players of imagination, I guess would be the term.
That's actually a good term.
I like that a lot. Yes.
Hey, I coined something. I like that.
Your tongue twister there too.
Well, so tell us a little bit here about exactly what it is that you do, how you got into it, and particularly, I know you're very popular for going to Wild Wild West Con in Tucson for things here, and that's certainly going into the realms of the West that we play with. And admittedly, I met you at things significantly different than that.
Yeah. So we obviously started out doing the Klingon thing, which we just did at Comic-Con a few days ago. Branched over into doing pirates for Renaissance fairs, which requires creating characters and reenacting those, with some study on what pirates are and what they're like. And then steampunk was taking off about 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought, well, since there's so many steampunk heroes, let's do steampunk villains. And so created the League of Supremely Evil Revolutionaries, or LOSER, as it's affectionately known as. And the requirements we did for that was any type of job can be evil, including being an ice cream salesman, because ice cream came about in the 1800s. And when you have flavors like sawdust, dirt, and cat fur, how much more evil can you be with that?
I'd like a
and then
to that.
Yeah, and then the characters had to come up with not only their persona and things like that, but also our wanted poster required some crimes, and you would come up with 3 crimes that you'd made up, and then one historical crime that actually took place at the time your character existed that you could have been part of. Which required some study there too.
Well,
Yeah.
I know from photos you had along there that you have a certain snake oil salesman going along on things here. What particular crimes is he tied to?
Okay. I am the snake oil salesman.
Yes.
And so I've had the obvious selling the bad medicines thing and stuff like that. The historical crime was the enteric fever breakout in London because of the diseases in the River Thames. And it's like, well, it's not my fault. We were dumping my chemicals in the River Thames. People shouldn't drink that stuff. So I was banished from the UK to the United States.
And are now traveling the West selling the exact same stuff you got kicked out of England for.
Correct. And when people ask about that, I'll give them the historical ramifications regarding snake oil by telling them, your doctor is like 50 miles away. Your little house is 50 miles from town. It's a few days ride in a wagon or a horse. But along comes this guy with a wagon that says doctor on the side and medicines. Who are you going to trust right then? It's that guy.
You want the relief, whatever he's selling.
Correct. And the medicines have a lot of alcohol in them, so you feel really good. And then eventually that wears off. But by that time, I should be out of town before you get the tar and feathers.
Very true. That is frequently the end for everything. Well, at least it was with Mark Twain. So I guess.
Yeah. So that's basically what we do. Our group has taught all sorts of villainous courses like how to rob a train, how to rob the stage, how to rob a bank. And when it was at the studios, the Tucson studios, it was fun because we'd go and rob the train.
Or the dealer's room.
Or the dealer's room. But when it came to the bank, we had to point out, because we give some historical aspects of on robbing these things. And we said that generally you don't rob the bank because there's one door and it's the front. And the bank is next to the sheriff's office. So with all those things in place, going in to rob the bank is not a bright idea. And so we'd go and show them, here you go. Here's the bank. Here's the sheriff's office. See, they're next to each other. And the city hall and courtroom is right across the street.
Well, you'd be amazed how many Western books come up with a lot of bank robberies and of train robberies and such like that going on, particularly when you get into bounty hunter books and such like that. So it's certainly a idea that was, I guess they feel like they got tipped over on a regular basis.
Yeah, you would get that impression, but reality says not really all that much. Some people manage to do it, but in a town where the sheriff calls a posse and they're there pretty quick, and everybody seems to carry a gun, it's probably not advisable. The stagecoach is easier to rob because you just have to find the narrow part in the pathway to hold them up at. The train, on the other hand, that's a lot of Hollywood stuff.
Indeed. I get a lot of train books I have to do all frequently too. How does one rob a train?
The way we did it. So the train at Tucson Studios, basically, first we talked to the engineer and tell him we're going to rob the train, and he's all for it. So you have an inside. Next, he tells us where he's going to pull the train up for us to do the robbery, because you don't let the passengers out at this point. And then we actually do the whole, this is stick up, hold up everybody's hands and everything. And they have a great time with that because we're not taking anything from the train, but they got to go on a train ride, and the robbers.
Yeah, this is on the actual one that goes around the studio, as opposed to the one that's just kind of set in the back, which is a beautiful looking train, but back by the church there.
And this one actually has 2 stops.
That's
stops
right. Yes.
And in the main station.
Now, the funny thing is aside from us being the bad guys, there's the good guys, the sheriffs, marshals, and undercover good guys, otherwise known as smug. And so they were going to stop us from robbing the train. Well, the funny thing is they got there before us, and the train stopped, and they're hassling all the passengers, and we show up and go, what team are we on again? And we're confused. Are we the good guys?
Mind us while we step off the back.
Yeah. So we have a lot of fun with that, and lately we're doing more of the medicine shows out here in California than the actual teaching of villainy. We haven't had many conventions that are looking for that form of thing yet. There used to be out here, but
Why? I love a good villain.
nah, it's fun to be a villain. And like I said, we've got different types. We've got an evil dentist, airship pirate, gunslinger, the
Killer socialite.
killer socialite.
That's me.
Socialite.
Oh,
Oh,
yes. I have wills, and I meet men, and I tell them to sign my will, and then we go through a fake quickie marriage, and then I poison them, or I kill them in some way, and then I get all their worldly belongings.
She actually had one person who was willing to do the pratfall dying on the way to the courthouse.
That was hilarious. I based my character on Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind and Annabelle Bransford from Maverick, the movie Maverick.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah. They're both devious ladies with a smile on their face, all out for money. So,
Whereas my character is based off of Pete's Dragon.
All right. Yes.
So there is some hunting for dragons for medicines involved. But because it's steampunk. You throw in
Yeah,
that
you can,
fantasy effort, thing inside.
yeah, there's room for fantasy in the midst of all of that. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And with steampunk, it's just an alternate version of the West, taking the idea that what if steampunk became more of something than it actually was back then. So then you'd have like Abraham Lincoln flying around in a steam-powered jetpack type of thing.
Well, remember my Abraham Lincoln reenactor,
Yep.
Abraham Lincoln came to a convention with a steampunk arm on him. It was great. So, yeah, it was wonderful to see Robert with that on.
So there's like ray guns and all sorts of things. They have holsters to carry your teacups for tea dueling. And
Proper
always goggles.
dueling.
Tea dueling.
He said tea
Okay.
dueling. What are
Tea
the
dueling.
rules for tea dueling?
Tea dueling is tea and cookies, and you dip them in, and you have to hold it a certain way and hope that the cookie doesn't crumble. The one with whose cookie lasts longer without crumbling is the winner.
All right. I like this competition.
There's also Nerf gun dueling.
Yeah. And when it came to Nerf gun dueling, I did it in the traditions of Bugs Bunny.
Oh
The
dear.
whole count 10 paces, turn and fire. Yeah, I
You're
followed that
directly
guy
behind
around. So he turns around and I'm right there. Boom.
I've done that to my daughter several times. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. They also have other things like parasol dueling, which I have done once. So for the ladies.
Do you have a blade that slides out of your parasol?
No, I don't, but I want one.
Indeed.
A lot of the dueling ideas regarding this is just a variation on a few things. Sometimes it's like rock, paper, scissors. So I have one that will probably be making its comeback next year, which is wand versus sonic screwdriver dueling. And that was based on the premise that this one person was busy talking about how wonderful wands are and magical, and they take care of everything. And I had my steampunk Sonic. And I go, well, what about Sonics? Science, So science versus magic. And it took me a while to figure out how to put that together. Yeah. So it took me a while to figure out how to put that together. So I have the rules for the wand versus Sonic dueling.
Nice. So I've seen some of your costumes that go into this. They are extremely detailed. What all goes into actually creating one of these pieces?
Okay, so we'll go with the snake oil salesman. The snake oil salesman, like I said, I'll be watching Peach Dragon, so I saw what the outfit Dr. Terminus was wearing and how to recreate that. Now, most people immediately go with the goggles and everything, but I went with the still the Old West type of thing. So I would go through the outfitters that had Western clothing, like Historical Emporium and the Wild West Mercantile
Yes.
for those outfits. The hat, the top hat, was a little tougher to get, but Village Hat Shop has that.
But didn't you get that one in Tombstone?
Yes, and I saw that it's from Village Hat Shop.
Oh, that's fun.
And then I added the ribbon that's on the hat and the bow on the side, including the button ear thing, and then started adding assorted pins that reflect the character in its way, which Doc Synchronous has the cursed coin from Pirates of the Caribbean on his outfit. And it was revealed 2 Wild Wild West cons ago that cursed coin has a relationship to the pirate character Captain Sin. And it's like they both have the same spelling in their name. The coin allows you to live forever, and it's only 100 years difference. So they're both the same character. It's
Both the
the
same
only way you
character
can,
moving on to the west. Yes.
yes, because it's the only way you can hide yourself if you're living forever. You have to change what you do.
Indeed. Otherwise, people catch on.
Right.
And a lot of people go to steampunk events or like shows, and there are people there that make like the bustles and skirts, and they make the vests for the men and the cravats for the men, and I mean there's a lot of makers out there for a lot of that stuff. I've made a few pieces, and I've actually bought online several dresses actually. There's a good one on eBay for like Civil War style dresses, because I actually have a 6-tier Civil War hoop skirt that's a cage skirt.
My goodness.
And I have that for Mary Lincoln, but I sometimes wear it for my character, whose name is Cerulean Saint Amour, and it's cerulean like the color cerulean. She says her parents didn't know how to say it, so they just put it as cerulean. And Saint Amour, and my saying is, I'm Cerulean Saint Amour. Please say no more. So,
And then a lot of people put on goggles. You'll see a lot of goggles in steampunk.
That's kind of the trademark thing of steampunk. You got to have the goggles.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, being when we're out in the desert, it gets windy in the desert, and
so they come in
sand
handy.
goes up. And so one of our people took the goggles off his hat and put them on his eyes, and everybody went ballistic. Go, you can't do that. And he said, "Well, this is what they're for. I mean, they're not decorations; they're supposed to be used."
Yeah, a lot of people don't even realize that they actually have a use, so they just put them on their hats and walk around with them. So it's crazy. They go, look, I'm steampunk. No.
And then, of course, the weaponry that you have to make your own ray guns and stuff like that. Though there are those who sell them, but the easiest way to get those ray guns is go to a resale store, buy a Nerf gun because they've got tons of them, and then use rub and buff on them to make them look like real guns. But Victorian style guns.
I just like a Victorian Nerf gun anyways. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a few of those.
We have a few. Our daughter is a weapons specialist.
Right. And saloon owner.
It's
It's a good way to handle it.
So she helps get us our weapons, and she runs a saloon, and that's how she makes money, and she makes money selling weapons to everybody. And
excellent.
And DJ's the gunslinger
And the ice cream salesman.
and the ice cream salesman. We have a evil ice cream salesman.
With all the fine quality flavors that he offers.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. His character name's Mr. Swirly.
Not conspicuous at all.
No.
We had when we did the special edition play for Comic-Con, which had our steampunk characters in there as part of the multiverse. There was an ad we did for the snake oil, and it was done exactly like McDonald's. It even ended with a da-da-da-da, but it had someone who died from drinking the snake oil. It's like, it looked great. It looked exactly like a McDonald's commercial.
This sounds like a terrible amount of fun. How much do you usually end up spending on one of these particular outings to something? Just out of curiosity, because I know that a lot of these things end up costing quite a bit for all the different parts that go together.
If locally, it's not much. If we're going up to Orange County, it's just gas in the car. And if they're having us perform, then we don't have to pay to get in. So maybe food. So probably maybe $100. And
How about
but
for
if
the
we're
actual construction of your outfits?
Oh,
Oh,
the
okay.
constructions of the outfits. Okay. Well, his would cost a lot more than mine because basically I can spend about $200 to make one of my outfits.
Whereas me, I will look at what's on sale at the places that I mentioned, and they do
Mhm.
have a lot of sales that are quite helpful because the waistcoat they're shiny and wonderful. I love them, but they can be costly as well as the pants. The jacket um, that I actually found locally at there used to be a steampunk store, which was a fancy term for a resale shop that just had steampunk stuff. So I was able to get the type of coat that Doc Terminus wore from that store. Other than that, then you go to Goodwill, and any of the dress coats will work for things. You can find a lot of unusual things like pants. I have found the waistcoats a few times at Goodwill, as well as suspenders, because nobody remembers the fact that pants required suspenders.
They didn't
And
have belts in the 1880s. Yeah.
right,
They had
and
gun
so
belts, but they didn't have belts to hold your pants up.
right, so the pants that you buy at Western Outfitters, those are designed for suspenders, and especially because they're buttons. And so I was fortunate to find a lot of those at Goodwills. Now that either means somebody isn't wearing those anymore or they passed on, but they work for me.
And Goodwill is a good place for women too, because I've bought coats to wear with a skirt at Goodwill for $5. There are people turn in so many neat looking coats, and you could add a little bit to it if you know how to embroider. Or a lot of times I don't even add anything to it. I just wear the coat and a skirt and a bustle, and that works. So,
And I basically recommend people to actually look at photos and stuff from that time period to get an idea of what to get for your costume or what you're looking for, like gunslingers or whatever. I mean, not many people realize that the bowler hat was more prevalent than the cowboy hat.
I have made that argument so many times.
Yeah, and
Designing book covers on things, everyone's just like, "Oh, put a Stetson on them." It's like, bowlers were more prevalent. Don't put a Stetson on them. But yeah,
yeah,
I read that it was a gambler's hat.
it was the common businessman. It was everyday person wore a bowler hat. It was just the way of it. But yeah, I have that argument a lot with people.
they were the easier hats to get back then than the Stetson.
and then
A lot less expensive.
and then the other thing, people don't realize that everybody's wearing this stuff in hot days. When I was a venture scout leader, our crew was a theatrically versed one. And so we went to Calico Ghost Town in early October in the outfits, the steampunk outfits. Go through town and it's hot. It's like beginning to be 100 degrees. And it's like, yeah, this is how they dressed back then. And they really love that lemonade at the Calico restaurant there. So
Kind of required at that point. Yeah, to
yeah,
stay
exactly.
alive.
Yeah.
Calico's a fun little town too.
Yeah, we would like to bring a steampunk event back to Calico, but we need money backers to be able to do that.
Yeah, that would be epic to do there.
We did a couple out there,
Yeah.
and I have a good contact with the county of San Bernardino to set one up. It's just I need money, and money we don't have.
And we have a couple of the loser videos were filmed at Calico, and those are on YouTube. And they were fun to do as quickly as we could.
Calico was hot.
Calico was hot. When did we go there?
July or August.
It's July or August. Yeah, the worst time you possibly can go there.
Exactly.
Yeah, like we're going to Vegas this weekend.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, loads of fun. Done it many
It's
times.
good. But everything's air conditioned there once you're inside.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's the saving grace of it all. Well, we are running out of time on our overall recording here, but wanted to thank you all for coming down and letting us have a little bit of the insight into folks that are doing reenactments and steampunk overall plays on everything that goes with this. And where can people learn more about you?
Right now, on our Facebook page, we have the League of Supremely Evil Revolutionaries. That's the steampunk side. We have IKV Stranglehold, that's the Klingon side. And we have Pirate Ship Stranglehold, that's the pirate side.
Very good.
And if anybody wants to look up anything from Mary Todd Lincoln, even though we didn't get to talk about her,
That's true. I would have wanted to get a little more of that.
I'm San Diego's Mary Lincoln on Facebook. So
Well, tell me real fast, as a reenactor of Mary Lincoln, where do you go and what do you do real fast?
Civil War events. There's one coming up on Labor Day weekend, and it's in Huntington Beach. And basically, I get to walk around with Abraham Lincoln. When his wife's not there, I'm his backup Mary. And basically, they have me attend other events with heads of groups and stuff, and I have to interact with the crowds, and like Mary Lincoln.
Riverside Dickens Fair.
Riverside Dickens Fair, that's another event where I'm Mary Lincoln as well. So, and it's a lot of fun because people don't, my goal is to teach people the history of Mary Lincoln. They know about Abraham Lincoln, but a lot of them don't know the truth about Mary Lincoln.
And then when the doc is there, he talks about how Lincoln is a vampire slayer.
Zombie killer.
He says he's my medical doctor when I'm Mary Lincoln, that he's making sure that I'm on my medication.
And he's,
because you know, Robert thought she was crazy. So,
oh, good fun there. Well, thank you again. Appreciate you coming all out and informing us all, educating us all, and letting us see a little bit more of where the imagination in the West can go.
Yes.
yeah. And if you ever want to talk again, we're always available.
Absolutely. Appreciate it very much.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us on Y'all Listen with Misty and Kevin.
Brought to you by Dusty Saddle Publishing and DS Productions. Be sure to hit subscribe and to follow so you don't miss out on the author interviews, news, and what's happening in the Western publishing world.
Just remember, the story never ends. It just awaits its next reader. Until next time, dusty trails and happy reading, y'all.